Hello? Pasensya na kayo, may mga nasa unahang cameraman. Sorry po, medyo magsisiksikan lang tayo dito para magandang panahon, umuulan. Para very meaningful ang ating PRESSCON. At kung may gusto po kayong itanong sa akin, si Miss Luningning Samarita Domingo po ako, kay National Scientist Pabella at kay Dr. Jaime Montoya, dito lang po kami sa sideline. Kasi ang binibigyang focus natin ngayon, NAST awardees and newly elected member and corresponding members. So, kung okay po sa inyo, mag-start na po tayo. We have with us Dr. Muji Pogi Kiwis as our MC. Totoo po yung Pogi kasi nakalagay po yung talaga sa literature ng mga fishes. Ipinangalan sa kanya ng two American scientists yung isang isdang nakita nila dito sa Pilipinas in recognition of his contribution to the Philippine fisheries.
Thank you, Ma'am Ning. Okay, shall we start? Esteemed members of the Academy, National Scientist Raul B. Fabella, Chair of the Social Sciences Division, Academician Jaime Montoya, the Secretariat led by, of course, Dr. Luningning E. Samarita Domingo, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm Muji Santos, an outstanding young scientist awardee in 2011, and I will be the Master of Ceremony for this day's activity. On behalf of the National Academy of Science and Technology, Philippines, we are pleased to welcome you all to this pre-annual scientific meeting press conference. Before we start the program, let us all rise for the national anthem. Please be seated. To formally welcome us to this occasion, may we call on National Scientist Raul Fabella, Chair of the Social Sciences Division of NAST. He will also give us some insights on this year's annual scientific meeting. Sir?
Thank you. Academician Jaime Montoya, dear friends from the media, guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you. On behalf of the Academy, I welcome you all to this pre-ASM PRESSCON. Today's activity is preparatory to the 38th Annual Scientific Meeting, on July 13 and 14. But more importantly, we are gathered here to recognize this year's NAST awardees. The National Science and Technology Philippines is the symbol of the nation's commitment to science and technology. It is an attached agency of the Department of Science and Technology, and it is designated by the Executive Order 818 to serve as advisor to the President of the Republic of the Philippines and the Cabinet on policies concerning science and technology. Its vision is a progressive Philippines anchored on science. NAST Philippines is tasked to recognize outstanding achievements in the science and technology, to provide moral and financial support to those engaged in scientific and technological research, to facilitate collaboration and communication with international linkages and scientific academies, to manage, operate, and maintain the Philippine Science Heritage Center, and most of all, to promote a strong science culture in the Philippines. As a recognition body, the Academy recognizes outstanding achievements in science and technology of Filipino scientists and institutions in all fields of science. Prestigious NAST awards include Outstanding Young Scientists, the World Academy of Science and Developing Countries Award for Young Scientists, NAST Talent Search for Young Scientists, the NAST Environmental Award, NAST Award for Outstanding Research in Tropical Medicine, Outstanding Scientific Papers, Outstanding Books, Outstanding Monographs. To date, NAST Philippines has 66 living academicians, and 15 of which have already been conferred the rank of national scientists. The annual scientific meeting, now on its 30th run, aims to ventilate, discuss, clarify and expound science and technology issues, and use results to formulate policies, implementing guidelines, and to serve as a venue for the presentation of SNT breakthroughs. With this year's theme, looking back, looking forward, NAST aims to learn from past successes and failures and integrate them into the formulation of resolutions and solutions that the country is faced and will be faced with. Winston Churchill once said, and I quote, "The further back you look, the further forward you can see." So it is only proper that we look back while looking forward, which is geared towards inclusive growth and sustainable development. This event kicks off a meaningful annual scientific meeting, and a pleasant good morning to all. Thank you.
Thank you, National Scientist Pabelia. One of the highlights of the ASM is the awarding ceremony of the NAST awardees, where outstanding Filipino scientists and their works are given recognition. To proceed with our program, may we now invite Academician Jaime Montoya to introduce our panel of 2016 NAST awardees. Sir?
Thank you very much. National Scientist Raul Pabelia, friends and colleagues in science, in the science community, from the media, members of the National Academy of Science and Technology, awardees of the National Academy of Science and Technology. Good morning to everyone. It gives me a distinct pleasure to be given the task of presenting the awardees for this year. As Secretary of the Executive Council of the National Academy of Science and Technology, I will perform this task and I hope that very briefly we will be able to present the achievements of our awardees for this year. And this will probably be the basis for our friends from the media to interview them later on for the details. So my presentation will be very brief because then you will have more chances to interview them later on. So, as I said, it's definitely an honor for us to welcome our new members in the Academy. So let me start with our new academicians in the Academy. So we have for 2016, we have Dr. Alfredo Mahar Francisco A. Lagmay. Palakpak dyan, palakpak dyan. In recognition of his important achievements in the area of geology and disaster science, Dr. Alfredo Mahar Francisco A. Lagmay was named as one of the academicians for 2016. He is the Executive Director of the DOST's Nationwide Operational Assessment of Hazards, or NOAA-H, a flagship program for disaster risk reduction and management to enhance disaster management and prevention capacities of the Philippine government and the country that collaborates with government agencies to promote and integrate advanced science and technology in this field. He is also a professor of the National Institute of Geological Sciences of the University of the Philippines, Diliman. He was the first Asian to receive the Plinius Medal given by the European Union of Geosciences in 2015 for his outstanding interdisciplinary natural hazard research and natural disaster engagements in the Philippines, particularly with respect to volcanic hazards, earthquakes, typhoons, landslides, and floods. He obtained his bachelor's degree in 1987 and master's degree in geology 1993 from the University of the Philippines, Diliman, and PhD in geology from the University of Cambridge in 2001. Friends, Dr. Alfredo Mahar Francisco A. Lagmay, PhD, 2016 academician. So I'll mention all of them first so that we'll have a continuous interview later on. Now the next person I'm privileged to introduce will be a corresponding member of the National Academy of Science and Technology. Corresponding members are like academicians. I mean, no difference except for just some minor differences. For the 2016 corresponding member, I have the honor to present Dr. Enrique M. Austria Jr., MD, from the field of pediatrics. Okay. Dr. Enrique M. Austria was elected to the National Academy of Science and Technology Philippines as corresponding member in recognition of his significant contributions in the field of pediatrics. He is the inventor of the meconium drug testing kit. You have a chance to ask him what these words mean. One of the most sensitive tests to detect fetal exposure to illicit drugs by the analysis of meconium, or the first tools of the newborn infant. He also developed a Philippine-made ventilator for sick newborn infants called the Austria Vent, a low-cost, safe, and efficient pressure-limited time-cycle ventilator. Dr. Austria graduated from the University of the Philippines College of Medicine in 1965, cum laude and class valedictorian. He obtained his AA and BS degree from the University of the Philippines. It gives me great pleasure to present him because I have a personal admiration for Dr. Austria because I was one of his many, many students who benefited from his tutelage. So again, may I present to you Dr. Enrique M. Austria Jr. MD, 2016 corresponding member of the National Academy of Science and Technology. Now we're going to the future. I suppose this will be the future members of the Academy, the outstanding young scientists. For 2016, in no order of importance, because we have a number of outstanding young scientists with us today, I have the honor to present to you Ian A. Navarrete, Doctor of Science in the field of Soil Science, outstanding young scientist for 2016. Dr. Ian A. Navarrete is a Faculty of Environmental Science at Ateneo de Manila University, and he is one of the recipients of the prestigious Outstanding Young Scientist Award for this year. He was recognized for his outstanding research in the field of soil science. His work focuses on evaluating and assessing the quality of soil resources in the Philippines. His studies provide knowledge for suitable land management in similar degraded areas, not only in the Philippines, but also in other areas having widespread problems of soil degradation. He obtained both his degree in BS in Agriculture in Soil Science and Master of Science in Soil Science from Visayas State University in 1999 and 2003, respectively. In 2007, he finished his MA in Agro-Environmental Science, Soil Science at the Obihiro University of Agriculture and Veterinary Medicine, Japan, pronounce it correctly. In 2010, he attained his Doctor of Science in Bioproduction, Soil Science degree from Iwate University, Japan. I have the honor to present to you again Dr. Ian A. Navarrete, Doctor of Science, Outstanding Young Scientist for 2016. The next one is another outstanding young scientist for this year. I have the honor to present Dr. Mahalea B. Ravago. Oh, clap dyan. So after I mention the name, you clap because they all deserve your applause. Dr. Mahalea B. Ravago is one of the awardees for Outstanding Young Scientist Award for this year, 2016. She was recognized for her significant contributions in the field of economics. She currently heads the Energy Policy Development Program, an electric power policy research and advisory group funded by the USAID that aims to promote coherent and evidence-based policy advice to the National Economic Development Authority and the Department of Energy. Her current research interests include resource economics, developmental economics, economics of natural disaster, and energy economics. She obtained her BS in Business Economics and MA in Economics degrees from the University of the Philippines, and her PhD in Economics is from the University of Hawaii under the East-West Center EWC Graduate Degree Fellowship. Friends, I have the honor to present to you again Dr. Mahalea B. Ravago, PhD, Economics 2016, Outstanding Young Scientist. Thank you. Another outstanding young scientist I have the honor to present for 2016, Dr. Tonet P. Laude, in the field of plant breeding. For significant contributions in the field of plant breeding, Dr. Tonet P. Laude is one of the recipients for this year's Outstanding Young Scientist Award. She identified superior populations of white corn with high-quality protein. One of them, released for commercial production as IPB VAR6 with the number NSICCN 2008-244. The most preferred variety of corn breeds or rice-corn mix a staple not only in the traditional corn-eating provinces, but also nationwide. She is currently Assistant Professor 6 and Associate Dean of the College of Agriculture at UP Los Baños. She obtained her BS Agriculture cum laude in 2000 and MS Plant Breeding in the year 2006, both at the University of the Philippines, Los Baños, and her PhD in Plant Sciences in 2013 at the North Dakota State University. Friends, again, may I present to you with honor Dr. Tonetti Laude, PhD Plant Breeding, Outstanding Young Scientist 2016. And last but not the least, another outstanding young scientist in the field of chemical science. I have the honor to present Dr. Jose Isagani B. Hanairo for chemical science. Dr. Jose Isagani B. Hanairo is an Associate Professor of Biology and Research Fellow at the De La Salle University, where he also received his BS Biochemistry degree. He earned his bachelor's degree in 2008 with the following distinctions: cum laude, consistent Dean's Lister for all trimesters, and recipient of the Student Leadership Award. He received his MS Chemistry degree also from De La Salle University in 2011 after being selected as a visiting student researcher at Osaka University, where he conducted his research about peptide synthesis. He earned his doctorate degree as a Japanese government scholar at Hokkaido University in 2014 for his work about peptide-mediated biomineralization. Biomineralization is the natural process in which nature forms functional inorganic materials. And his works in this field are highly regarded, wherein they were published in prominent journals with distinctions of being an inside cover article and editor's choice paper in most of them. To date, Dr. Hanairo has 11 publications in Scopus and/or Reuters listed journals and 5 publications in peer-reviewed journals. Friends, I have the honor to present to you Dr. Jose Isagani B. Hanairo, PhD, Outstanding National Scientist for 2016 in the field of chemical science. Thank you very much.
Thank you again, Sir Jaime Montoya, for that wonderful introduction of the 2016 NAST awardee. Sorry.
I have to make the correction. The last person I mentioned, Dr. Hanairo, is a 2016 NAST Talent Search for Young Scientists. I'm so excited to be there. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you again. Yung NAST Talent Young Search yata is 35 and below. No? Yeah, okay. So, before we proceed with the open forum, may I remind our friends from the media that everyone is given a kit, no? Which contains information on the 38 ASM, the profiles po ng NAST awardees, and then yung NAST press releases and summary of NAST accomplishments. So kung meron pa pong hindi tanggap ng kit, please approach our secretariat para hingi po kayo ng isang packet. Okay? So, we now invite our friends from the media to ask questions and clarifications from our awardees. Please state your name, your affiliation, and your question. And also, nandito po si Ma'am Ning, si Sir Fabella, and Sir Montoya sa side. Pwede nyo rin po silang tanungin. Okay? So, who wants to shoot the first question?
Ano na po yung ating mga new innovation na maibigay mo natin sa mundo regarding this bagyong Choy. And second question po, pwede po ba? Second question to Dr. Serye. Sir, this month is Nutrition Month, and theme for this Nutrition Month is first 1,000 days nutrition, kahalagahan, diba, para sa kalusog ng kinabukasan. So, being a pediatrician ano po ba? Pwede po bang makuha kami ng insights on talaga po ba yung first 1,000 days dapat talaga na pagtuunan ng pansin, lalo na po sa panig ng mga health workers in the barangays, mga meron po kasi tayo ngayon ng barangay nutrition scholar, di po ba, sa buong Pilipinas. So, ano pong reaction nyo sa mga ganong activities po? Since our problem in malnutrition is talaga po namang alarming, the stunted, the children, the wasted children, any reaction?
Okay, Dr. Lagmay first, please.
Firstly, yung month po na ito ay disaster consciousness month. Just like we have consciousness month. You were asking about the contribution of Project NOAA to information provided to the public with regards to Typhoon Buchoy. As in the past 4 years, meron po tinatawag disaster risk assessment. That is a core group of people from various agencies related to disaster work na nagpiling po sa NDRC. And ang ginagawa po doon ay pinag-uusapan ng information before the typhoon makes landfall, when the typhoon or cyclone is in the Philippine area of responsibility. What happens is that nagkakaroon po ng assessment ng forecast, and what Project NOAA does is to translate the forecast into hazards impacts. The reason why it needs to be translated is because the typhoon itself is not the hazard. It is the phenomenon. What we need to address are the hazards, which are, in particular, the storm surges, the strong winds, the floods that are generated by the strong rains, and the landslides triggered by the strong rains. So when we translate that, we are actually preparing better the communities, giving them better information on the actual hazard, not on the phenomenon. For example, ang consciousness po natin about cyclones, ang warning natin mainly is on storm signals. But the storm signal is based on the wind. So if you have a storm signal addressing the hazards of the typhoon and it's just based on wind, we are not actually addressing the hazards for floods, for landslides, and probably storm surge kasi that's based on wind as well. So we are missing out on the other hazards. So that is what Project NOAA delivers in the PIDRA. Various agencies involved in the PIDRA system of NDRRMC. DILG is there, NDRMC is there. We give them a list of possible communities that will get affected, and that is cascaded by the various agencies involved. So, importante din po natin malaman na ang forecast is a model. There's always uncertainty in the model, and we cannot afford that uncertainty because if there's an error with the forecast, there's loss of lives. So, ang ginagawa po ng NOAA through DOST-ASTI is nag-install ng sensors, 1,500 sensors that deliver information every 15 minutes. That's every 15 minutes, and that is shown on the website through mobile apps, and basically that empowers every Filipino, every LGU to see the data that is useful to complement the forecast. Because if we see the rains in a certain area, rains that are prolonged, and it's more than, the agreement is 100 millimeters threshold. That's about 10 centimeters. It's flat, we won't drown there, but because the topography is not flat, no? It's irregular. When the water flows, it accumulates in the low-lying areas, and when it accumulates, it sometimes gets to be above the head or 2 stories high. Those are the dangers associated with 100 millimeters or 10 centimeters of rain. Now, once we see that, it takes time before the water to flow down into the low-lying communities. Now, using the sensors, we've developed a system by which we can see in one map view of the Philippines where it's raining hard. The trick is to catch the rainfall when it's prolonged and sustained and intense. So, if it's more than 100 millimeters, babantayan po yung mga sensors ng river and catch the water level while it's on the rise. Before it goes down to the low-lying communities, it takes about 3 hours, 6 hours. And despite that hours in advance warning, which is shorter than the forecast, which is days in advance, you are actually addressing a problem or the uncertainty of the forecast. You are complementing that with near real-time information. Because that is empirical data, it cannot be wrong unless there's instrumental error, but we can validate the instrumental error or the instrumental record. So if we address that, you are avoiding surprise of flooding in a community. So when you avoid surprise, you avoid disasters because people can do something about it when they get informed at the appropriate time. Since NOAA was established, there have been 13 hazard events, severe hazard events that have hit communities. And this did not turn out into actual disasters. Why? Because we use the system of a forecast and complementation of that forecast, which has uncertainty with near real-time data that gives the people time-bound, hazard-specific, and area-focused warnings.
I hope you will allow me to stand because it's easier for me to address the audience. Thank you very much for your question. For 2 reasons. The information that you ask is very relevant. And I am very glad that we have in this forum the news media because the information that we have gathered and I'm going to share with you is based on research that we have done here. Okay, let me just give you a background of my answer to your question, because your question is on nutrition and its effect for the first 100 days, or 1,000 days, I'm sorry. But I want to go beyond that, okay? But let me give you a background of the basis of my information to you. We have conducted a study here for the past 10 years from 2010 to 2012 of determining the effect of exposure of the mother, pregnant woman, to pesticides on the development of her child from birth to the age of 6 years. To make a long story short, our study showed that pesticides such as what you use in Baygon, Raid, they contain carbamate and pyrethroids, are detrimental to the development of the brain of the infant and child. That is, when we look at the development in terms of their IQ, that it is affected by the exposure prenatally to the pesticides. The good news is that the effect is short-lived. We only saw the adverse effect when they were at 2 and 4 years of age, but then the effect sort of disappeared at 6 years. And we are attributing this to the ability of the child to compensate for these adverse conditions it has suffered in utero and after birth. But that's half of the story. What bothered me most in our study is that the IQ of the children in our study, which consisted of about 500 children, was below average. The normal IQ of children using a standardized test, which we call the WIPSI test, is 100 plus or minus 15. Okay? And the mean IQ of the children in our study was 83.7. So it was below 85, which was the lower limit of normality. What bothered me most, or my research team bothered us most, is that when we look back at whatever studies that were conducted in the Philippines on IQ of children, we found in 1972 a study that was conducted that showed that the IQ of the Filipino children, high school and elementary, was also 83.8. In other words, it had not changed from 1972 to the present. That's very worrisome because there's such a thing as a Flynn effect. That is, in developing countries, the IQ of the children will increase by 2 every 10 years. But did this not occur? It was still the same in 1972 as it was in 2013 when our study ended. So we look at the factors that affected the IQ of the children. We're concerned so much about IQ because the economic productivity of a country is very much dependent on the IQ and intelligence of its population. So it's very important that we address this problem. So we look at the factors that affected the IQ of the children. 4 years, 6 years. The factors are 5. First is nutrition. Okay? 25% of the children were under, the children were under the 25 percentile in the cohort in terms of height, weight, and head circumference. The second factor that affected IQ was maternal intelligence. Of course, if the mother is not bright, you don't expect the child to be bright, no? And the IQ of the mothers were low. Socioeconomic definitely influenced the IQ of the children. We had a test that's known as home test, which determined how much the infant and the child is stimulated at home by the parents. And we found that majority of them did not have that type of stimulation. That is, the mother talking to the baby, even if the baby is only 6 months old, showing the baby pictures, asking the baby or the child, what is this? This is a cow. That is things like those. Stimulation of the child was not high, and that affected IQ significantly. The other factor was domestic violence. I was very surprised of the very high incidence of domestic violence in our population. I never expected this, but that is one of the major factors that affect the IQ of the children. So 5 factors: nutrition, child stimulation, maternal IQ, socioeconomic. Nakalimutan ko na yung mga. I said nutrition. Okay? Violence, home violence. Okay. So, with this type of information, we were determined to improve the IQ of the children. Okay? You have to use the data that you get in order to do something about it. And we embarked in cooperation with the DOST and the Philippine Pediatric Society and part of my NIH grant on a study of feeding preschool children 4 years old in their school snacks that gave protein to them fortified with moringa. Do you know what moringa is? Moringa. Okay. We fortified it, the food, so as to give the children at least 33% of protein and iron. Okay? But moringa has other elements that are important. It was a 10-month study only, and it was a late study. It was done at 4 years of age, and normally if you intervene, it should be from the birth to 6 years. But there are studies that say that it is not too late, so we did it at 4 years of age. Our hypothesis is that snacks given to children, preschool children, daycare children, for 5 days while they are in school would increase the IQ of the children by 4 points. What do you think was the result of this 10-month study? We increased the IQ of the children by 5.3 points. So it was even beyond our hypothesis. So, true, nutrition is very important. Definitely, breast milk is what is important from birth up to 1.5 years of age, which is what's recommended, and thereafter continue if that is still possible. But then the food that is given to the children should not be any of this ramen thing that they're very, the children were even drinking coffee. I mean, 4-year-old children drinking coffee, okay? So we can improve the IQ of the children in our study. And so this is what is very important and good news for you, and so we will continue on this type of research, whereby we will also address the other factors that influence IQ. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Austria. Ma'am, satisfied with your questions? Yes. With the answers? Thank you.
Increase of 5.3 points after a 10-month intervention.
Yes. In fact, yes. In fact, I was a little bit hesitant because we were very ambitious. The average IQ should increase by 2 points every 10 years in developing countries. And here we were projecting in our hypothesis, it would increase to 4. I said you are very ambitious, but anyway, let's do it. And the final analysis is the IQ of the children went up by 5.3 points. So that is very important, and we should take that lead. Huh? But above 85. 85 is the lower limit. Then we have to address the other factors, not just nutrition. I told you there are 5 factors. We cannot affect socioeconomic unless President Duterte does something to improve the socioeconomic situation of the Filipinos. We want to try to see if we can influence violence, but child stimulation is very important. And we cannot do anything about maternal IQ, okay? That is there. But at least we can address 3 factors. And hopefully, we may even go beyond 5.3 points.
Follow-up questions for that? Sorry, ma'am. Follow-up po doon.
Okay, good morning everyone. Follow-up lang po kay Dr. Austria. Nabanggit niyo po yung pesticide sa mga bata. Can we consider itong mga spray sa loob ng bahay na pesticide? Paano po yung mga pinapahid sa balat ng bata para off daw? Consider na pesticide ba yon? Tapos, okay. So, nabanggit niyo yung intelligence ng mother. Sinasabi po nila na 70% daw po ng katalinuhan ng bata ay nakuha daw sa nanay. Pero may mga kakilala akong magagaling ang tatay at hindi magaling ang nanay, pero magagaling yung mga bata. So, ano po ang sagot niyo doon? Tapos, yung pong inyong research tungkol po rito sa mga bata na naapektuhan ng pesticide. Would you continue after 6 years, or ano po ang nagdi-deter sa inyo para hindi ituloy po itong research na ito? At yun pong aking question kay Dr. Austria. May follow-up din po ako kay Dr. Mahar Dagmay. Sir, parang hindi na mamaya. Hindi ko na... Ay, hindi. Sige, sir.
So, yun ang muna po. And then, kay Dr. Austria muna po tayo.
Nakalimutan ko lang ang question.
Okay, yun po mga pesticide. Yun
Can
po
you
mga
just
spray.
enumerate one by one and
Okay,
I'll
number
answer
one.
it as you
Ito
ask?
bang mga spray na nakikita natin sa TV? Sa
Or the one
loob
that
po?
pinapahit? No, the one that you apply which is off is not a pesticide.
Okay.
It is it's just deters the mosquito somehow chemically from being attracted to the human.
Okay.
It's not a pesticide. I have looked at the literature on whether these the repellents, we call them repellents, have any adverse effects. So far, I have not seen. Okay, I'm not saying that it is safe. I'm saying that because there are no randomized controlled trials that will say that it is safe or not. Okay? So, I personally, hindi ako nagpapahid ng miski ano sa katawan ko. I'm very attractive to mosquitoes, you know? So what I use is, I just wipe my skin with rubbing alcohol. Kasi may scent yun. And somehow it's a repellent.
Second question po, yung pong mga ini-spray sa loob po ng household natin, minsan pag nag-spray siya, nakangiti pa siya eh. Parang pag pumasok ba sa kanya yon safe ba yon? Yung mga para sa lamok, para sa pang-alis daw po ng amag sa loob ng bahay.
No. In fact, in our study, 59% of the persons spraying at home was the mother, the pregnant woman. And once she inhales this, she ingests it, and the fetus will participate in that. Okay? Now, there is also a danger, although we did not study this, but I'm concerned about it. You have, first of all, our pesticides now are very fragrant in smell. Hindi kagaya yung dati mabaho. That's bad, because then it encourages you to use more. And what is most concerning to me is there is this pesticide that you use that you plug onto the wall, and then it circulates in the room for 24 hours. And if you have your baby there, you are exposing that child to 24 hours of pesticide. Now, I cannot tell you with certainty that that is wrong because we did not conduct a study of that nature. But if we extrapolate the data of pesticide exposure, that is pesticide exposure. Okay? Any more?
Next question po. Is it true that the children get their intelligence from the mother, 70%?
Okay. We get half of our chromosomes from the father and half from the mother. It depends on which chromosome goes to you. But definitely, the influence of the father and the mother would be there. Okay?
Last question, sir.
Unfortunately, in our study, marami sa mga mothers hindi married. Iba-iba ang partner. Very, very sad situation now, which has shocked me really. I originally thought lahat kinakasal, hindi pala. Hindi.
Okay, sir, last question. Would you continue the research on the pesticide and after 6 years of the child?
Good. But it disappears at 6. How do we know whether it will affect other aspects of development when they are 8, 10, 12? We do not know that. It's very hard to do this study. I'm already 75 years old. Okay, I may not live enough to see the results of this study when they are teenagers. Secondly, it's very expensive. This study we conducted cost us $6 million from the United States National Institutes of Health. Very expensive considering it is less expensive to do research in the Philippines because yung mga tauhan nyo, mas mababa ang sweldo nila because you convert the dollars to pesos. In fact, the UP-NIH prevented us from giving the right salary to our research assistants because they will be paid higher than the people working on the NIH.
Ma'am, kay Dr. Mahar ba yan? Ma'am, ipa-park muna po natin kasi may isang one more follow-up question for Dr. Austria before we move on to another topic. Yes, ma'am. Kayo po.
Good morning. How intelligent is he? Classified as genius or what?
Quite intelligent, but intelligence alone is not a guarantee for success. No? As Thomas Edison said, success is 10% inspiration and 90% perspiration.
I'm not speaking of success. I just want to know if the IQ of a person is 140, 160.
And he is industrious,
Yes.
he will succeed.
You mean the intellectual capacity? I mean, how intelligent is he? IQ only based on IQ, no success.
Well, by definition, he is above the standard deviation. The normal is from 100 plus or minus 15. So the upper limit is 100, 115. His IQ is 140. His
Yes.
is very intelligent. Very intelligent.
I am referring to President Ferdinand E. Marcos. That is his IQ. Now, another question. Another question. Follow up. If a person or a child is, say, his IQ is substandard, now, by, say, making use or improving the five factors, does it mean the child will still develop his IQ?
Yes, from our study. These children were 4 years of age. That's a little bit late already in intervention. Okay? You want the intervention when the child's, by the way, the brain of the child is already fully developed anatomically at birth. Well, most of the parts of the brain are already there. But the connections, what we call synapses, which is the basis of learning, occurs thereafter, the myelination of the brain, etc., etc. But the brain structure is already almost 90% developed at birth. Now, learning, that's why the stimulation of the child is very important. Because learning is nothing more than the synapses. The neurons have to communicate with one another in order to learn. And what we call synapses. And that occurs after birth.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mamasakit na po yata yung likod ni sir. Si the lady in red, move on to another set of questions. State your name, ma'am, your affiliation.
I'm Ate Susan from the Philippine Science Journalist Incorporated and co-host of Meli Tenorio.
This is the mic.
Very much po.
Thank you po sa question. Actually, yung study namin ngayon, yun yung ibabahagi namin sa scientific conference on July 14. So, ito po yung isa lang po ito sa mga study na answer doon sa Filipino Condition natin 2040 na pinangunahan ng NERA. So, nagtanong sila ng survey, tinanong nila yung mga Pilipino, ano ba yung gusto natin na buhay sa taong 2040. So, ang resulta ng survey na yun, ang gusto ng mga Pilipino, at stable na buhay in 2040 na pwede nating mapag-aral ang ating mga anak. So, ngayon, may mga iba-ibang study na sector kung paano matutulungan na kumbaga ma-achieve yung ambition na yun ng mga Pilipino. Yung sa amin, yung sa energy sector. So, tinitingnan namin, tinranslate namin, ano ba tong magandang buhay na to. So, ito yung nagkakaroon tayo ng per capita income na yung Pilipinas ay nandun na sa status ng mga developed countries na tinatawag. And then, kung meron kang ganong economic growth, kailangan mo suportahan yon ng nararapat na energy. So, yun yung tinitingnan namin. Ano ba yung energy na, kumbaga, input kasi to production ng energy. So, ano ba yung makakapagsuporta sa economic growth na 7% na tinitingnan natin in 2040. So, doon sa aming, sa ibabahagi namin sa conference sa Thursday, tinignan namin yung status ng energy sector ngayon, in particular, yung electricity sector. So, makikita natin, isang indicator yung price, yung binabayaran natin ng kuryente. So, kung ikukumpara mo yung binabayaran natin sa mga kapitbahay natin sa ASEAN region, pangalawa tayo sa pinakamataas na kuryente. Ang una yung Singapore. Pero syempre, yung Singapore, isang developed nation, diba? So, kumpara sa Vietnam, sa Indonesia, mataas yung binabayaran natin kuryente. So, kumbaga, parang we're losing out in this respect. So, isa siya sa cost of doing business na tinatawag. So, parang nata-turn off yung mga investors sa pag-expand o sa pag-invest sa Pilipinas because of the cost of power. Pero syempre, isang factor lang yun na tinitingnan. So, doon sa aming tinignan namin, paano ba tayo makakatulong para mapababa yung presyo ng kuryente. So, tayong lahat nandito sa Manila, si Meralco ang nagbibill sa atin, kung titingnan mo yung bill ninyo, 48% nung bill natin nanggagaling sa tinatawag na generation charge. So ito yung pinanggagalingan ng fuel mix, yung coal, yung natural gas, yung geothermal. 48% yun ng bill natin. Yung iba, transmission, distribution. So tinignan namin yung current policy ng government, kung ito ba ay makakatulong sa pagpababa ng presyo or nag-offer kami ng alternative policy. Yung policy kasi ngayon, to maintain 30% share of renewable. Yun yung policy. So, tinitingnan namin kung i-translate namin ito, 30% coal, 30% renewable, 30% natural gas, and then 10% others. So, tinignan namin, paano kung meron pang ibang configuration? So, bakit natin itatali yung sarili natin? So, kumbaga kung investor ka, titingnan mo kasi kung saan yung pinakamababang presyo, di ba? So, sa panahon ngayon, ngayong 2016, ang pinakamababa pa rin ng presyo kung ikukumpara mo yung coal, natural gas, geothermal, coal pa rin. So, kung ikaw ang investor, saan ka pa mag-i-invest? So, sa pinakamababa. So, tinignan namin yung ibang configuration na nagpapabor sa pinakamababang technology. So, kung ganun yung gagawin natin, pwedeng mapababa pa yung generation charge, which is the biggest component of our bill. So, ang tanong lang, bakit tayo itatali natin yung sarili natin sa 30-30? Bakit hindi natin hayaan na yung technology yung mag-dictate kung saan mag-invest? So, isa yun sa tinitingnan namin. So, pero siyempre, kailangan pa ng mas iba-iba itong pag-aaral. Ano ba talaga yung, kumbaga, pinakamagandang configuration kung saan tayo titingnan yung investment? Ngayon, kung tungkol naman doon sa renewable, bakit hindi natin, kasi in the future, pwedeng maging mura ito. So, pwede doon yung pinakapaboran natin yung investment. So, pero until then, doon muna tayo sa pinakamura. Pero kailangan maghanda, so parang bigyan natin ng investment on research and development, yung mga renewable, kasi over time, sila naman yung maging mura. So, maging handa lang tayo. So, isa yun sa, kumbaga, focus nung aming pag-aaral na ibabahagi sa Thursday. And then, meron pa kami doon ng mga tinignan na ibang reforms, kasi isang aspeto lang yon ng energy sector. Yung iba pa doon na may mga reforms pa kami tinitingnan tungkol sa transmission, pati sa mga electric cooperatives, yung mga makaka-contribute kasi ito sa pagbaba din ng presyo. O yung sa rural areas, of course, kasi kumbaga energy is a very important in, di ba, hindi lang siya input ng production, pati din sa everyday life. So yung isang study namin, tinitingnan namin na kung magkaroon ng kuryente, it will really increase yung income ng mga family kasi pwede kang magkaroon ng livelihood. May pinuntahan kami sa Iloilo. Nung nagkaroon sila ng kuryente, nagkaroon ng karagdagang income. Yung simple lang, yung pagkakaroon ng ref, kasi nakakapagbenta na sila ng yellow or ng ice candy, may dagdag na income. So, meron din yung impact sa education kasi napoprolong yung pag-aaral ng bata kasi sa gabi, pwede na mag-aral. Ganon din yung livelihood ng fisher folks. Ang sinasabi nila, Nung nagkaroon ng kuryente, sa gabi, nakakapagtahi na sila ng lambat. So, hindi yung kumukuha ng oras sa pangingisda nila. So, merong talagang malaking benepisyo. So, syempre, yun talaga yung goal natin, na dalhin yung kuryente doon sa rural areas.
Okay. Follow up, this lady in black and then si Sir.
Yes.
Clean coal extension.
Oh, so yung people, again, wala akong hindi ko pinigilan kung ano ng technology, kung saan yung pinakamababang presyo. Yung pinunod namin kung saan